driven on the competition, dislike, right? He wants to dislike his opponent. So I think him playing the Giants more often, I think that's going to benefit him, right? I love Mad Bum at 113. That's about a 10th round pick, right? That's a value. How about Kyle Hendricks? I think he's a value. I think he's one of those guys that's going to give you a ton of innings. He's been hurt a couple times, but for the most part, he doesn't throw hard, so you don't really have to worry about him over-maximizing his elbow. He's a relatively safe pick, 158 ADP, right? His K to walk rate is elite. It always is. At 177 innings pitched last year, he had 150 strikeouts and only 32 walks. That's amazing, okay? So I told you I'd tell you about all guys from all over the board. How about Cole Hamels? Cole Hamels is a workhorse, right? You got to love him going to Atlanta this year. Yes, he's 36 years old. But he still is pitching well. He still has velocity. He primarily works off of his off speed and his curve. You gotta love Cole Hamels at ADP 262, right? 143 strikeouts and 141 innings pitched last year. That 3.42 ERA. That's a value. Okay? Okay. Do not let Luis Severino fool you. Yes, he was injured last year. Vishal, I'll get to you in a moment. Don't let me forget, okay? Luis Severino, people don't think long-term about things, right? People just think about Luis Severino and the fact that he missed most of the season last year. This is a guy who's just 25 years old, guys. He has a career 3.46 ERA and 589 career strikeouts and just 530 innings pitched. He's been durable. I love Luis Severino this year. I love Luis Castillo, Vic. I obviously in my keeper league. He's my ace, Ian Greinke. I really think that year before last he found it, right? Last year he established it. And, let's be honest. Cincinnati's going to be a hell of a lot better this year. Okay? Having an ERA, sorry, I'm trying to pull him up. Having an ERA that he's had will definitely benefit him with added run support. 3.40 last year is impressive, okay? He's got a career 3.68 ERA. I really do think that if his ERA stays at 3.68, his career average, he could win 20 games this year. So I love Luis Castillo. I think with the addition of Trevor Bauer, that only helps him. We talked about that, I think, 2 weeks ago. Trevor Bauer and his analytics is going to help him develop sharpness on his other pitches that he maybe didn't have before. So all signs are pointing north on Luis Castillo. So the second bucket of pitchers that I want to talk about. And this is the bucket where so Luis Castillo fits into this bucket. Actually, he's in this bucket, okay? These guys are trending north. These guys are guys that look pretty damn good. But they're so young, you haven't seen their best. Now, I'll caution you, these are the types of guys you want to hedge your bets just a little bit on because a lot of them are young. They're just getting used to heavy workloads. And I'm all down for that, Mount Pal. Mount Pal's saying we need to have a real draft with this group. I'm absolutely up for that. I'll tell you, when you're talking about these young pitchers, though, they can really make or break your team. Okay? Who are the types of pitchers we're talking about in this second bucket? And again, This is all over the board. These aren't just top 50 guys. These are guys you can get at the end of your draft, some of these guys. Well, maybe not these guys. Middle rounds anyway. Let's just say that. How about Walker Buehler? It's funny because you prepare this stuff almost a week in advance. And then you sit there and you listen to all your friends talk about it, and you're like, shit, that's a good point. I think it was Kevin was talking about Walker Buehler today. And he's saying basically the same thing. I love Zach Wheeler. He was basically saying the same thing I said about him last year, but a little bit differently. Last year I was talking about him in regards to his heavy increase in workload, right? I was surprised by Walker Buehler last year. He had a good year. He handled the workload pretty darn well. And the Dodgers do such a good job of resting their young guys, okay? Someone was talking this morning about, I think it was Andy was talking this morning about not being able to trust Ross Stripling, that's what it was, because you didn't know if he was going to be in the starting rotation or in the bullpen, right? And that's a valid point. That's a very valid point. But these guys, you have to think about it, especially if you're in a holds league. A guy like Julio Urias, and he's not even on my list, but we talked about him a little bit this morning. He's so valuable because if you're in a holds league, if he isn't starting, he's playing at the back end of that rotation. He's racking up statistics. You got to think about if you're in a case per 9 league, if you're, obviously whip, ERA, all those counting stats, he's not hurting you, right? And he's in leverage situations. That's why Stripling, Gonsolin, all those guys, Dustin May, I will draft any of those guys given a value, and I'm getting off point. I want to get back to Walker Buehler. I love Walker Buehler because they're not going to overwork him down the stretch. He pitched 182 innings last year. I look for him to pitch about the same amount this year. But in those 182 innings, he was able to maximize his efficiency. He went 14-4 with a 3.26 ERA, 215 strikeouts, and just 37 walks, guys. Kyle Hendricks only had 32. You're getting that many more strikeouts and that less of walk. That's a real value, even at 16, right? Now, this league's different. This mock draft's different. He went later than that. I understand that, right? When you're dealing with experts, you kind of have to change your philosophy a bit. But I love Walker Buehler. He's just 25 years old, guys. Let's talk about the next guy. Again, these are all your high upside guys. These are guys you want to take a chance on because maybe you haven't seen their best, right? How about Jack Flaherty? 24 years old. Now, here's another guy. You worry about his workload. 196 innings pitched last year. His ERA was 2.75. That's elite. 231 strikeouts, just 55 walks. ADP is 24. You're talking about a second to third round pick. I agree, Malpow. That's why I'm talking about him. I totally agree. Again, I like Flaherty. I like St. Louis. I think he's going to need to step up there. It's interesting to me. I thought about this before while Yadier Molina was still a Cardinal. He's not now, so you have to maybe rethink that just a scotch. But Flaherty certainly has all the talent. Number 3 on this list, Shane Bieber. Boy, this kid, again, came out of nowhere. Not really came out of nowhere. We knew about him, but you kind of get this, he's all right, but, well, that's not been the case. He went from a 2-pitch pitcher to a league ace overnight. 24 years old Shane Bieber is, guys. 15-8 last year. 3.28 ERA. 259 Ks and 214 innings pitched. 40 walks. He's going in the third round, guys. 29 ADP. I love Shane Bieber. I am a believer. Andy and I have this conversation all the time. Who's the ace of that staff? Is it Clevenger or is it Bieber now? I think it's Bieber. I love Clevenger. I'm not discounting what Clevenger is. But this is the kid, right? At 24 years old, is the ace of this staff. Vic, 47 ADP. Luis Castillo, 27 years old. I think he's a value here. He's one of these guys, again, that you build your team. He's a guy that wants the ball. He's pitched now. Let me go back to it. He's pitched now 169 innings and 190 innings the last 2 years. He's proven he can handle the workload. Okay? 47 ADP puts him right around the 4th round. Chris Paddock. 23 years old, Chris Paddock. Think about how talented San Diego is. Think about the potential there. Right? Last year, as a 22-year-old, he went 9-7, 3.33 ERA, 153 Ks, and 130 innings pitched. I look for him to get about 50 more innings this year, and I look for those numbers to go up pretty dramatically. Again, 49 ADP. Vic, to your point, the next guy. How about Brandon Woodruff? People forget this guy was dominant when he got hurt last year. He's just 26 years old. He was 11-3 with a 3.62 ERA. That's interesting, Malpal, because what I read is it's Yadier Molina, and that was from the Cardinals page on Twitter. So, mixed reporting maybe? I don't know. Let's do some research on that, guys. No fake news here. Although I think I just gave fake news. If it's not Yaddy, I gave fake news. I figured I could trust the Cardinals team page. Maybe you're right, though. I've been wrong before. So, 88 ADP for Brandon Woodruff. I really do think that's a value there. Again, 26 years old. He's going to be the ace of that staff. They still have a lot of power there. I know they've kind of torn down a bit. I like Brandon Woodruff. If you notice something about these guys, they're all either high strikeout guys or really low whip guys. Okay? And I'm suggesting you take at least one of each here, if you can, right? We've talked about the high upside guys now. Now as we get down to, again, 88 ADP for Woodruff, you're talking about what? 6th round pick? You want to target these guys as you get into these middle rounds. Okay? How about Mike Soroka? 100 ADP. And again, these are fluid. What's cool about this, though, is when you capture this, it establishes a baseline. So as you get closer to the draft, you can see what players are trending. Okay? If a guy like, for instance, say Brandon Woodruff goes from 88 ADP to 68 ADP, you probably better draft him a little higher than that, right? So you're collecting data right now. That's why it's important to do this. I'll make this list again, right? Mike Soroka, 100 ADP last year. That puts him squarely in the 8th round. This is ridiculous. 13-4 last year, 2.68 ERA. 142 Ks, 41 walks, and 174 innings pitched as a 22-year-old. This kid, the sky's the limit with him, okay? Lenny, to answer your question, you've been asking this for a couple days, and I love the Zach Wheeler analysis. I think that's valid. How about Mike Soroka as this year's Garrett Cole.